Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are catalysts for change, pioneers in their fields, the change makers, the trailblazers, performers and influencers, driven entrepreneurs and professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging the talent shortages across organizations of various scales. Building cause-based businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. In every industry, women are shattering barriers and strive to create a space where they can exhibit their achievements and motivate other women to unleash their limitless potential. We encourage collaboration, networking, and knowledge sharing among women. Let's inspire and learn from one another while sharing our valuable experiences. Thank you for joining us and listening to this episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Women of Power podcast. Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are catalysts of change, pioneers in their field, and the change makers, the trailblazers, the performers and influencers, and driven entrepreneurs, professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging talent shortages across organizations of various scales. Building causes businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. Women of Power podcast is a dynamic platform that recognizes the incredible potential of women as a driving force behind global economic growth. It is a platform that celebrates and empowers women of passion and power. Today, my guest is an amazing woman of power, and I can't wait to introduce her. Dr. Ariel King, a multifaceted figure, is an author, speaker, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. As a founder and president of Ariel Foundation International since 2000, she holds Special Economic and Social Committee status at United Nations, known as ECOSOC. Dr. King is multilingual and well-traveled. She is a seasoned expat, now champions children and youth, fostering their active involvement in international decision-making processes. Wow. Through her foundation, she has impacted around 150,000 youth in 30 countries, emphasizing leadership, entrepreneurship, and community service. Wow. What an honor to have you on the show, Dr. King. Floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much, Mrs. Chopra. I'm so grateful to be on this podcast with you, and thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. So tell us about yourself. I'm sure there's a whole lot behind the scenes. What my little brief introduction tells about you.
Yes. I mean, I think the most important parts of me are that I love working with children and youth. I have since I was a child myself, which is quite unusual. I love being a mother, which is very important to me. And I'm an extremely curious person. So all the degrees I have is because I always have lots of questions that need to be answered. I'm also a Rotarian for over 35 years. And in general, humanitarian causes and people are very important to me.
That's wonderful. And you know, the curiosity, I myself, I agree and resonate with you. The curiosity is a strength that leads us to gaining more knowledge, wisdom, eventually. And really opens up many new paths. So, what a honor to have you and be a mentor to 150,000 and counting youth.
Yes,
So let's talk
I and
about.
the other people, pardon me, I and the other people in the foundation. I don't want to make people think that I take it all on by myself because I don't. We have an incredible board of directors. Many of them have been with the foundation since its inception. We are now 22 years old. So many of our directors have been with us more than 18 years. So we've
Wow.
watched their own children grow up and even have their grandchildren.
Ah,
And also, we're a fully volunteer organization. So, Ariel Foundation International was conceived with the idea that all of the any money that comes in, profits, donations, and so on and so forth, goes directly to our programs for children and youth, and doesn't go to brick and mortar, and it doesn't go to any type of salaries for any of us. And as a result of that, that has made all the difference in how we are able not only to give our focus to children and youth in the programs, but even more importantly, people that come through our door, we know are coming truly for humanitarian reasons because there's no way to get payment. And that really helps. And also the fact that any money that comes in, we use for programs for children and youth, it really puts us all in the same direction, understanding what is our focus, who is our focus, and our why. Why do we do what we do?
so when you talk about the humanitarian purposes, as broad they can be, and these, especially the young people, are reaching out to Ariel Foundation, the main uh, uh, purpose or outcome of their reach is education, support, or more.
Yes, I think that what we do with young people is sometimes they come because they want to have a voice. They are attracted to um, any possibility of people listening to them, people encouraging them to use their voice, to use their thought processes, um, to be heard about what they think some of the solutions are for the problems. The truth is that they're going to have to solve.
Yes.
Not me, but them. And so many young people are looking to be recognized, to have what all of us want, right? Which is to be seen,
Mhm.
understood, heard, and if possible, to be given the possibility to do something with ourselves. Young people, children have the same type of desires, which many people forget as adults or as leaders. And but they have very few possibilities to have those become reality. So through the Ariel Foundation International, what we do is one of the first parts of working with young people is we validate their voice. How do we do that? One of the ways that we do that is that we validate their language. We've had people from various countries, I won't mention the countries, but that think that they have to speak English or French or Spanish or one of the 6 United Nations languages. And I say, but why? It's okay. You speak in your language. We'll figure out how to, if not translate it, to understand what you're saying. But when you want to express yourself, you should be able to express yourself in your language. So expressing themselves in their language lets them know this is your language, this is your culture, this is who you are, this is the foundation of your being, and I respect that. And that's really
Absolutely. Yes, very powerful. And the language, the expression, of course, your native, your mother tongue, it's just nothing better to express if you are not proficient in a common international language, so to say. I wanna just take a little bit of version here, as you had shared. The youth come for validation or voice. Um, and you mentioned you have been around since early 2000. So in
yes,
last
actually,
two decades and coming into this third decade of the 21st century, especially due to the COVID epidemic or pandemic, a lot changed for most of us, right? Not
yes.
only culturally, but regionally. And it's just the whole businesses to socialization, so much changed. How do you see young people today than 10 years ago are handling?
Well, what's really interesting to me is that I think that young people are not just connected, but I think that they know more about the world earlier. Not just my generation. I mean, my generation is so far back that, I didn't know much about the world until I was able to get out at 20 years old and literally go around the world. I mean, 20 is kind of late. And now you have children that are understanding what's going on in the world at 4, 5, 6 years old. They don't quite understand, but they're at least getting information.
Yes.
Without context, which is very difficult at that age to process, but they're getting information. So children are different today, I think, and that they have exposure to the world, and I do mean the entire world, at an extremely early age without the mental, emotional growth in order to put it in context and understand it.
I agree. And then it really, I don't want to just say it concerns me, but it is sort of a concern that, as you mentioned, the 6-year-old has that information, right? Without the context. Too early, it's too immature, and have an overload of information at that age and no guidance, right?
Yes.
So that's the part that I wonder a lot. That young people, it's a different generation. They are different than their grandparents' generation and different than their parents' generations. And every generation brings a lot of new enthusiasm and a different set of values. So it hasn't been different in the past, in the history, and it's not going to be different in our lifetimes. So with that said, but technology has its influence in every hour of our life, directly and indirectly.
Yes.
So putting the technology in the palms of the hands of a toddler to growing up with technology, it has changed the dynamics of communication.
Absolutely. I mean, there are studies that are done. I mean, even the common person that doesn't know anything about sociology or the development of a brain of a child can get on the internet and find something that they can try to read or understand, or a video or something to learn about it. But basically, especially children under a certain age, and I see people, of course, and all of us do, having a child in a stroller with a device in their hand, either watching some kind of program or doing some kind of game. And it's our new way of placating children. And it's difficult because children want it, and it's very difficult to say no. It really is. And children are children. Children are the same all over the world for many, many years. They know how to get their parents and their elders to say yes, especially if they're busy, and and there are other things that these people have to do. They're very good at that. But at the same time, I think that it causes, unfortunately, a lot of damage and harm. And also it has difficulties with language development and also cognitive development. And also the development of learning patience and learning timing, right? Please, you must wait. These are important aspects of life that actually carry throughout our entire life. With talents for children. When I say children, extremely difficult. Thank you.
So you were saying, Dr. King, that the development of young adolescents due to the access of social media or excess use of technology.
Yes.
And I'm sure
children and adolescents.
Yes, and I'm sure that the audiences, there's a lot of people out there share the same thoughts, but not too many people. We all hear about the damage it can do for at such an tender age for development, but we don't have all the answers. People are juggling. Parents, young families, they're juggling with jobs and routines, work-life balance, in all whatnot, keeping up with the Joneses, etc. What would you suggest that when youth come to you at Ariel Foundation, how do you guide them or change their
Yes.
trajectory.
Well, that is such a good question, because we work from children. I think the youngest we had was 6, but that was too young. So 7 that actually went to the United Nations with us and was able to give a presentation, believe it or not, on children and violence. And then we work with youth. So I work with young people up to 35. They're young for me. And what's really interesting is that many of them just need a mentor. I mean, this, like, we had aunties, we had uncles, even if they weren't related to us. We had people within the community that did for us what many young people now don't have. And, I think that technology sometimes is just a supplement for what they're missing, which is this interaction with people, someone who cares, someone you learn from, someone who's asking, how are you doing? What's going on with you? I just think that young people, unfortunately, don't have the same today as we had. Not in all communities. There's still communities that live as a community, right?
Yes.
Even now in many other countries, this is more and more starting to not be that way, but the community makes all the difference. So then you ask, how do we work with young people, and what do we do? Well, first of all, we let them understand that their voice is more important than anybody they can find on TikTok or Facebook, right? That their voice, their thoughts, their talents, their ability to take an issue that they think is important, figure out what the issue is, figure out what they think some of the possibilities are for making it better, whatever that is, and then implementing that action. So what we do is, instead of trying to take away technology, we give them what they're asking for, which is human contact, human mentorship, somebody to champion them and say, I know you can do this. And then even after that, we actually have them, after they do these projects or after they go to the United Nations, even online, we actually have them write what they've done, write out their presentation, and then we publish it. So then they become published authors. And all of a sudden you have somebody who is busy consuming, right? Consuming all types of information, all of a sudden say, what I think and what I have to say is important. And now they're giving information. They go from consumers to givers. And that changes everything for them.
That's awesome. I think, as I'm listening to you, this is such a turning point in their lives, right? Being
Yes.
just a consumer to now giver and mentor for others, right? There's
Yes.
just so many young people out there making a phenomenal difference in different areas for environment protection, etc. So that's why I say that every generation brings their own unique abilities. But
Yes.
this is the youngest generation that we have is totally grown up with technology.
Yes, special. They are a special group. And as a result of growing up with technology, they have more hours in interaction with technology than they do with people.
True.
And there's a bit of harm in this, because people raise children, people help children to develop, not necessarily technology, although technology can be used. So as we were talking about before, you have a large number of people that somehow don't know how to communicate, don't know how to say, would you like to play basketball, or would you like to play football, or, would you like to come to my house and listen to music? Because they don't have the social skills, because they have not been able to use those social skills. We have people alone with their technology rather than with other children, other people. Unless it's organized, of course, organized sports,
Yes.
organized clubs, organized school.
Mm-hmm. So there is not a single approach that would work in every society, in every community. So there has to be a combination of approach where you are, especially in this part of the United States where I live, and I'm sure the rest of the United States. When I was raising my kids, so we were always teaching and hearing that don't talk to strangers.
Yes, my generation heard that too. Although stranger was defined in a very different way, because stranger is not just somebody you don't know. They have a whole look and aura to them. It's not just someone you know.
It's fascinating when you mentioned that we have, like, in our communities, we have uncles and aunties. They're not related to us, but we call them uncles
Yes.
and aunties. So growing up, we had a lot of uncles and aunties around
Yes,
us
we did.
that they
Yes, we
felt
did.
they felt the right to discipline you when they see a small little kid misbehaving.
Yes,
They felt the right to.
yes.
Now it's
Or to
not.
say something about it, or to say something about it. I still do. I think it's really important. I mean, there are times that children are shocked, but when I do say something, I'm saying, I see you. I care about you. What you're doing is not really, you should think about doing something else. Or, this behavior is not correct.
But
And
the
they're
parents,
absolutely shocked, but it doesn't matter because they need that. I
yeah.
had that. And then when I used to do well as a child, I mean, I remember, I'm only remembering now, I think I was about 7 or 8 years old. And I used to open up the door for some older women. There were two women that lived together. I think they were sisters. And I used to open up the door for them. I was playing and I'd see them coming with their groceries and I'd open up the door for them and they would give me a nickel. And the nickel was like so much. I was just so happy, but they taught me manners through generosity. I don't know how to explain that, but
Yes.
my parents didn't have to do it. They did it. And they also said to me, what you did is important. How you saw that we needed something and you helped us without us asking is important. So, of course, they didn't give me money each time, but that actually helped me to learn that to open up the door was extremely important. To be there for others was, even if I was playing, to be there for others for that minute, that 2 minutes made all the difference.
Yes, and there's so much value in that learning, from the human contact. We, as species, human species, we're social people, and now we are socially connected with the device, not in
Right, but no,
person.
we're not. Yeah, but can I say it's not, that is not social connection. I think this is where, and this is just my opinion, and I'm thinking about it now. But when I'm thinking about social connection, just like you and I are now speaking on Zoom, I see you, you see me, we're speaking. It is not the same as being in the same place, maybe having a drink in front of us, or like a coffee or a tea or something, or even hearing something in the background, feeling the breeze on us, wherever we are. It changes the context. So what we're doing now also is a one-dimensional context. It's not even two-dimensional or three-dimensional. So when you talk about relationships or people being engaged online, what you have to think about is that device with that person speaking to them, or they're listening to that person, that's not engagement. And that's not a relationship.
No, it's not.
That's
The
right.
other,
And
the
relationship is, yeah.
downside of it is, Dr. King, is that people who are not able to deal with their emotions or having some sort of um, resentment, social media is the perfect place for them to go and take it out, right?
Social
It's
media is a great place for bullying anybody at any time, because basically you don't have to face the person that you're saying horrible things about. You don't have to face the person uh that perhaps you tell them that you don't want them to exist anymore. And it's a cowardice way, but also social media can be used for good also, but still it's one dimensional. It's still not the same as in-person contact. And I think we were talking about the fact that you said that the director general said that this is the loneliest generation. And well, generations, I should say, because
yes,
from children to older people. And I think
yes,
that one of the biggest reasons, believe it or not, is social media. The more we use devices to help us with our need for contact, for confirmation, for love, for entertainment, for understanding, for curiosity, for whatever, the less we
yes,
have with other people.
yes,
And
and
this
that's
in itself
why
is
the foundation like yours are opening up the doors for young people, and then every youth you mentor, uh, and they have a ripple effect on other people that they come across in their of their age, and in whoever they come across. So this is passing on the values. etc. So this is so important. Before we continue on this topic, I want to come back a little bit to your upcoming book, Humanity Unveiled. Would you like to talk about it?
Yes, thank you. I think what's really interesting about what we're talking about now is that this book came about because I started to think about issues of artificial intelligence, my own life with technology, my children's lives with technology, and trying to figure out, we all come to a point is, what was my life like? How did I learn these various lessons of courtesy or diplomacy or mentoring or respect or authenticity? How did I learn these? And I realized that I learned these through other people. I learned these through contacts. I learned these by chance contacts, not setting up meetings, but by chance. And by chance, many of these people happen to be people that are in the public eye or famous people, not because I sought them, but it just happened to happen so in my life. And the reason why I wrote Humanity Unveiled is because I wanted to show how people who had nothing, who had everything, the respect, the applause, Nobel Prizes, they had everything, took time and energy to show me respect, to show me kindness, to show me a possibility of speaking with me and mentoring me and telling me you are important. I want to take time to speak to you. I want to take time to ask you about yourself. I want to take time to mentor you. And I can give some examples. For example, we had Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. That's one encounter. Also with President Mandela, but also F.W. de Klerk, who was the last person of apartheid, so had encounters with him. Or Princess Anne, had encounters with her. Dr. Maya Angelou, many people don't know her, but she's a writer, and had several encounters with her. She's an amazing woman. And when I say encounters, I don't mean just like a talk. I mean literally sitting down for hours and talking when I had nothing to give. I'm a young person, literally with nothing. And not just nothing, I should say nothing that people think are important today. I had youth, I had optimism, I had respect for the encounter, and I had hope for my future, but that's it. And all these people, and many more, there are 19 people in the book, gave me their time, their energy, their acceptance, their love, their time, away from the cameras.
So I want to, with all due respect, I want to say that even when you say that you had nothing to give a person like Desmond Tutu or Maya Angelou, so you did, because you gave them a protege that they needed to pass on their knowledge so you can pass on.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you for telling me that. I think you're right. And you know what's interesting? That's exactly what I try to do now through our foundation, is to give back exactly what I received from these amazing people who had an incredible effect on my life.
So
and is what we do.
I am so tempted to share with you, as you talked about Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, Maya Angelou. It's Desmond Tutu who talked about so well about the concept of Ubuntu. And
Yes.
I talk about in my book Ubuntu and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which comes from our ancient scriptures. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, I'm just going to kind of very quickly explain for our audience.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
It's a Sanskrit word. Vasudhaiva is like, the whole earth as a planet. Kutumbakam is a family. So literally, it means earth is a family. But let's explain it to a little bit differently. When you say the word is the nations, the maps of the countries, and things like that. But when you say earth, that's the cohabitants of earth and everything earth is made of, including our forests and oceans and everything, and the life everywhere else. So that is, earth is a family. So the earth itself, its cohabitants are a family, and we owe it to ourselves. And it is our responsibility to take care of each other like we would do for the family. And Ubuntu, the concept of it is Deshman Tutu's. I have listened so much to his videos and writings, talking about this, that I am because we are. And how true these uh, timeless values are. And
Absolutely.
I find it that even our generation, we owe it to younger generation to pass on those values, even if they don't want to listen to us. I often say, meet them where they are, right? So even they don't want to listen
Absolutely.
at first, but when you talk to the young people, and I do, they want to be mentored. They're
Yes, they
asking
do.
for it,
Yes, they are.
right?
They are.
So
Because they want to matter. They want to know that they matter. Just as these people were there for me. I mean, and I mentioned people that people know. There are other people that people don't know, but for example, Paul Mitchell,
Mhm.
or Cyril Thomas Mitchell with Paul Mitchell Products. I mean, I had an amazing several days with him and his family, and what they all gave is, we see you, we accept you, we honor who you are right now.
Yes.
There's no, you don't have to be anything else right now. You are perfect the way you are. There's no time like now, and we are happy that you're here. And all of these people gave me that. What an incredible gift, especially for a young person trying to make their way, trying to figure out, who am I? What do I want to do? Am I important? Is what I think important? Do I matter in this world? And Humanity Unveiled is a book that literally explores the people that basically said, yes, you matter. And by the way, you are the depth and the breadth of humanity. It's you, just by the way they treated me.
Such a wonderful gift to give, and I am a strong believer and promoter of, we need to pass on our values, pass the baton to younger generation. I had mentors. I sought out mentors because that was my upbringing. And so if you're looking for some wisdom in your life and you're young, it takes decades to get there. And in between the experiences that you have, the time lost, you have resentments and you have disappointments and you lost time and money and stuff. But when you have mentors in your life, you have nothing to lose there. You have good guidance, right? So,
But
but
you'll
you
still
choose
have
your
life,
mentors.
but you'll see life differently. You'll have
Yes,
life, you'll have the losses, you'll have the wins, you'll have, there are times that you think that the whole human race has to be, I won't say against you, but just not working for you, right?
yes.
But this is part of life. This is, and when you have mentors not just remind you of that, but they also help to remind us, you, me, and other young people, how we are a part of that circle of, of things are positive and sometimes things are not positive. There are times that you get what you want, and there are many times that you won't get your want. There are times that you ask for something and you're redirected to something else. But this is a part of life.
It
And
is.
life does not have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be pretty, and it doesn't have to be winning all the time, because the truth is that's not life. If we win all the time, that's just not life. Part of life is the beauty of struggle, the beauty of not getting what we want and somehow the door opening and finding something else. That is,
Interesting. You said that not getting everything what we want, but we are living in the, especially the youngest generation, and I'm not saying that for any criticism, but as a reality, as a fact, that it is an instant gratification generation, and they
yes, but
have,
pardon me, I don't think I won't say it's their fault. It comes from technology, because technology is an instant gratification instrument.
yes,
And there are particular apps are applications that are specifically made for that, right? Oh, well, a Twitter can't be any more than so many letters, and a TikTok can't be any more than so many minutes. And we ourselves as a community, as a world, have put this out for young people and have given them the technology. They don't usually have money to buy their phones. We do. And their iPads and their tablets and their watches, and we buy them. So I think that the responsibility, believe it or not, I really believe is on us, but also it's a matter of commerce, isn't it? It's just a matter of the earlier you can get someone to engage or buy something or get something bought for them. Out of all of the consumers in the world, children, believe it or not, have the most money because their parents and their uncles and their aunties and their grandparents give them money and also buy for them. So that's also an issue, unfortunately. So I
Yes,
think
it comes with a kindness. It comes with the gifts. It's like a
right.
lot of time I hear that.
We want them to have the same as everyone else. We don't want them to feel different.
Or because we didn't have things, so I want to give it to my kids what they want. So sometimes it doesn't really go in their favor, for child's favor, for their growth, their personal growth. There's so much information here, but I want to ask you, when is your book coming up?
Yes, the book actually is in pre-sales now, and it should
Okay.
be on Amazon. I think the launch on Amazon is in July, so literally within
Wow.
weeks.
So
You'll
we
be able to
have
buy it on Amazon and also online. Yeah, right now
Okay.
we're doing pre-sales with our
Okay.
on
So
the
we'll
Dr.
have
King
it
Solution website.
on the captions. We'll have the link on our captions.
Thank you. So we have
so
the
people-
hardback, and we have a softback, and we also have the audiobook.
Yes. So listeners, if you're interested in this topic, please go grab a copy of this book. And I also wanted to kind of now circle back into anything else you would like to share with audiences about your foundation.
Yes, I think that I'd like to share that we basically have a saying that's very important to not just our foundation, but also to my life. And it's from the philosopher Hillel. And he says, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? If not now, then when? And I had decided that we were missing something, and that is, if not me, then who? And we live by this, and we go by this because it's so simple, yet it covers everything. We have to be for ourselves, and we have to be for others. And we can't wait until tomorrow. We have to do it today. We can't wait for someone else to do it. And we can't ask, well, why aren't they doing it? It doesn't matter. If you need to see it, if it needs to be done and you see that it needs to be done, then you do it.
It just brings it back for me to tie it into the concept of Ubuntu or Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So we are as a family. I know these days many listeners may say, well, I don't want my kids to have an auntie and an uncle who are not related, right? I agree. It's a very different world that we are in, but because of that different world we are in, it begs and it demands more and more our humanity to come out, because our younger generation needs it.
Absolutely. And just to say something about that, I mean, most, not all, but many children are going to an institution of some time or another, either a school or a religious school, or they're going somewhere. And they don't know all those people in their personal lives. And those children are there with them 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. Or they're going to clubs afterwards, kids clubs or so on and so forth. So I guess what I'm saying is that it's really difficult to try to figure out who's going to be a positive person and who's going to be a negative person. I was very, very fortunate that many of these people were very positive people in my life. And if my family would have gone by, if they're not in your family, they're strangers and don't talk to them, I would have missed an entire lifetime, including everything I'm doing now in the international spectrum, believe it or not. I would not be the person I am now without input and mentorship and care and love from all of these various people that I speak about in the book.
Yes, and those are the kind of the humanitarian values that we have to express, share, and promote. Um, uh, Dr. King, I could talk to you for hours and hours. The work you're doing is amazing. You are truly a woman of power, and
Yeah.
I think that more young people have to come forward, not just blame each other or the younger generation is this and they don't listen. And okay, the old people, I think that's not helping anyone, not us. And especially after pandemic, COVID pandemic, a lot of talented women that I have known have taken up early retirements and they go into the hiding, and that sort of triggered me to write my book on women leadership
Oh,
and
wonderful.
conscious
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. It's so needed. I
because
think the power of femininity, the power of the woman is so important. You know, Mother Earth.
yes, I
So
absolutely
and it's needed. It's really needed.
the
So
nurturing,
thank you for what you're doing.
and women have the capability to bring everyone on the table. And if you are a talented woman going into hiding of your early retirement, so to speak, with all of the talent, that someone out there needs it, how to pass that baton. There has to be some platform. So that really
Important.
was my a premise of the book was the men women come together, raising the um, young leaders, the conscious leaders of tomorrow. Because to me, just wanted to talk about a little bit or the effort that took was speaking to men and women around the world, not just the perspective of a one country or a one region, but global, because we are living in a global village and
Yes.
our youngest generation is going to face challenges that are so different than the last century, even
Yes.
last couple of decades. So we have, in a fourth industrial revolution, have crossed many different thresholds to in this current age, and the young leaders coming to leadership roles are going to need very different skills to resolve the unique challenges of today,
Absolutely.
not a
Absolutely.
past, right? The
Yes,
golden
I agree. That's
past.
very that's very insightful of you because I agree with that. I think you're correct in that. I think today's youth have a life that no other generation has had, and there are different expectations of them earlier. Childhood ends earlier.
Yes.
Innocence ends
Oh,
earlier. And
yes.
responsibility and this understanding that the world is waiting for them to take action is on their shoulders a lot earlier than I think
It
we
is
had.
true. It is very true. And we don't have all the answers, right? We don't have all the answers. And
We
that's where
don't need the
we work
answers. We just
together.
need the questions and curiosity
Yes. And that's
and
where
goodwill.
it requires for us to work together. So, in this age of women empowerment and all of that, we are the nurturers and giver of life. I say it in my book. I talk about it. We give life to boys and girls. They grow up to be men and women. We're part of the family. We're part of the
Yes.
society. So we cannot be competing against each other.
This is difficult because this is a matter of scarcity. And this is what I also try to impart to young people is that there isn't scarcity. Scarcity is a state of mind. It's not real. There's enough of everything for everyone. That's why every voice counts. That is the reason why your language counts, your culture counts, who you are, where you're from, and what you think makes all the difference. Specifically because there is no scarcity. There's enough for everyone. And even more importantly, if it wasn't, then we could not have a society that answers our challenges without having people understanding that they are enough, that everything that they have with them is important, and that there's no scarcity. There's no need to compete because we complement each other.
But that's what word has become. It seems so competitive. It's not serving our needs. So we need to switch our mindset and collaborate. So anyway, just kind of got tempted to share about in this
I want to say thank you.
conversation.
I think that was what you shared is extremely important, and I think it really fits in what we're talking about today. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And I just want to say, for our foundation has been started since 2020, but officially with an NGO with a tax deductible status in 2002. So we're 22 years old now. And as a result of our 22 years, we've decided that our memberships, we used to have memberships that were paid memberships, but this year, all memberships are free. So
Wow.
we're having as many young people around the world that want to sign up go to arielfoundation.org, sign up for your membership, and you can participate in our meetings at the United Nations, at various parliaments. You can participate online. We also have possibilities for education online. So we've decided that this is the year, right? Our 22nd year of being absolutely open and free to anybody and every young person that wants to be engaged. And that means children. So we work for children from 7 to 18 and then 18 to 35.
Wow. So we have the URL and the caption. So listeners and viewers who can reach out, please do. There's a lot to learn. Be open. And this is a very welcoming organization. So, Dr. King, this has been such an honor and such a valuable conversation today. And
thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I was so excited to get it. And I want to thank you for the honor of being on your podcast.
Well, thank you so much. And for our viewers and listeners, this has been another episode of Women of Power. I am host Ritu Chopra. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that information our guest has shared is helpful and you are taking away valuable tips and knowledge. We are committed to supporting women and building cause-driven businesses that create positive impact in their communities. Join us in the movement for change. Take action now and be part of Let's Come Together movement. Together, we can recognize, celebrate, and empower women who are making a difference in today's economy. Connect with passionate and powerful women, collaborate on cause-driven businesses, and build a better future for our